I need a free mind, I really need Judo. I need to free my mind, I really need Judo. I need a free mind, I really need Judo. Oh, yeah. To set me free, freer than the open mind, farther than the eyes can handle, freer than the ocean now, yeah, to set me free. Now I need to find relief, set me to the open sky. Now I need to free my mind, yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, I don't, yeah, oh no.
We're just doing a test right now. Speak.
Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3.
I don't see you have the audio there.
Okay.
Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3.
All right. Go back to stream starting.
You need to get if he don't wanna love you the right way. He ain't gonna. It ain't where he's at, it's where he wanna be. Yeah.
I said 5 in the morning, I wake up to 5 for my yearning. Fear in my mind is a warning. Pray to the one you're relying. I've been wandering all day. I tried to be fine, but I can't be. The noise in my mind wouldn't leave me. I tried to get by, but I'm burning. I'm behind, my mind it runs. All these thoughts of trouble me. Fighting to give up my pain. Fighting to be on my lane. My mind running to the other side. When it's time to leave my life, then it tries to take me out. Tell you what I need. Right, yeah. I really need time now. I need a free mind now. I really need mind now. I need to free my mind now. I really need time now. I need a free mind now. I really need mind now, yeah. This is the peace that you cannot buy. Send me a love that you cannot mix. One is the joy that you cannot waste, and the other one price that you cannot fix. This is the peace that you cannot buy. Finding a way where you cannot see. Mind with this system you cannot pray. I need to find relief. But behind my mind it runs. All these thoughts are trouble me. Funny to give up my babe. Funny to be on my lane. My mind running to the other side. When it's time to leave my life, then it tries to take me.
Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Judo versus Kendo. Have a good friend of mine here today. His name is Ahmed Obeidallah. We're going to talk about a lot of different topics today. But first, Ahmed, as usual, let's have you introduce yourself. Let everyone know who you are.
Well, thanks for having me, brother.
It's always a pleasure.
Name's Ahmed. Originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
Started Kendo when I was 18. I'm about 39 now.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a pretty wild ride.
But you're from
Kendo.
Jersey. Where in Jersey are you from?
Clifton, New Jersey. Exit 154, if you know anything about that.
Clifton, New Jersey.
On the Garden State Parkway.
I think I've seen that driving through before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how did you grow up? Brothers and sisters?
I got a brother, 2 sisters. Man, just typical Jersey, you know, growing up lifestyle.
Ruffian?
Not really, but, you know, grew up before the internet, so playing outside, playing a lot of sports, you know, public school.
Okay.
Just typical, you know, American, New Jersey, you know, I grew up in the typical American Jersey way, other than the fact that
basketball is a big part of growing up in Jersey too.
Yeah,
right?
I played a lot of basketball growing up. I played for my high school. Other than the fact that, you know, I come from like a kind of conservative Muslim family, and my father was an immigrant here.
Okay. My
mother, her family's like 3rd generation,
you
know, American. So definitely had a little bit of a different perspective growing up, a little bit of a different upbringing, but overall pretty typical.
You say immigrant from Palestine, right?
Yeah, my father's Palestinian.
Okay. And so how was it? How was it having immigrant father and a third generation American mother?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to put into perspective if you obviously didn't live any other way, right? But
Well, you have friends that are like Anglo-Saxon American and things like that, right? So,
I definitely was a bit. I got bullied for it a little bit growing up.
Oh, yeah?
Of course.
Yeah, of
having
course.
a strange name, different religion. But my dad was. He picked up on the culture really quickly, and he spoke English very well, and he was very intelligent and very successful.
I see.
So,
I got bullied for being the only white kid in my school, so
Yeah, it's
we have the opposite.
I was the only Arab, the only Muslim in my elementary school. And
Okay.
There was a couple in middle school, and then in high school we had more than a few. But.
Yeah, there was like mostly there's like 5 white guys in my high school and
Yeah.
like mostly Arab guys in my school.
Yeah, that's
so.
crazy to be picked on for being white. That's something that doesn't
Well,
happen very often.
it puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
It's difficult being the visible minority, right?
100%.
So
But my dad kind of raised us to be, practicing Muslims a little bit.
Yeah.
God-fearing Muslims. Maybe we weren't practicing that much. So in school, I wouldn't. Even from a young age, I was like, stay away from the opposite sex.
yeah, absolutely.
Don't eat pork, right?
Mhm,
Don't
yeah.
celebrate the holidays.
Yeah, basic stuff, right?
Right? Don't
Well,
celebrate.
don't celebrate Christian
Yeah,
holidays.
don't celebrate Christian holidays.
Yeah.
So that was obviously a little tough for a young kid to have to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, he liked basketball. He liked football. He would take us to basketball games, football games, and he let us grow up. Let us hang out with our friends.
Yeah.
Muslim or non-Muslim.
Yeah.
We'd be out riding our bikes everywhere. We could see movies. We're again very typical American childhood in the 90s.
Okay, that's
in
good.
the late 80s. And the 90s. So
So you didn't have any major problems like growing up, right?
not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, except like the bullying a bit.
After 9/11, things got a little bit tense, but I was already in high school at the time. I could take care of myself. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, and you're already a big guy. You're already a big guy in high school then.
Oh well, I didn't get tall like I am now until probably like senior year. So
Okay.
I used to be short.
Really?
Had a huge growth
Okay.
spurt,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it was all in one shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. How'd you get into kendo?
So growing up, I did. Obviously, I played basketball. I played a bunch of different sports. I did taekwondo. I did hapkido.
You did taekwondo?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did taekwondo in high school. I did hapkido in elementary school.
Okay.
Just like any American kid at that age, I grew up watching Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, old kung fu movies. Jean-Claude Van Damme was like our favorite.
One of your
guy.
favorites.
Yeah.
That's was it Bloodsport? The movie?
Bloodsport. He's
Yeah.
famous for Bloodsport. Yep. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, all these martial arts. And we were really into all me and my brother, my friends, we were all into martial arts.
Right.
When I got older, I started reading a lot of like swords and sorcery
Okay.
novels.
Yeah. What what Dungeons and Dragons kind
Not
of stuff?
not quite. More like like Lord of the Rings and.
Oh,
like,
okay, I see. Yeah.
And some people might recognize some of these names like the Wheel of Time and things like that. But there was a
Okay.
lot of in some of these books there was like a lot of sword fighting.
Right.
And then when I got to college, I just remember I had been watching, the new Star Wars with, when the new Star Wars came out with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
The Phantom Menace and everything.
Yeah.
And then the movie came out with Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai.
Okay.
And I remember reading some articles online that they had trained in Kendo.
Yeah.
Or maybe in like Kenjutsu
No,
or something.
it wasn't kendo. It was they brought in some stage. I think it was. I remember seeing a documentary on it. Like it was some stage fighting expert.
Okay.
Who maybe had done
Yeah.
some kendo. You know, like we would not know where he did kendo.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I think he was an Australian guy.
But the way it was spoken about on the forums online was that they had trained in kendo.
No way.
I'm just saying that's what it said.
No, you could see you could see some similarities, like the big men strike. You know, like there's this particular scene in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin is fighting Dooku, and at one point it's just Obi-Wan's up. He's been taken out, right? And it's just Anakin against Dooku, and he comes in, he grabs his lightsaber like this, and he does the big men swing.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So that I could probably say is the biggest kind of reference you could have in terms of their style of stage fighting when it comes to kendo.
And in the older ones, they really took from kendo. Like they're both in Chudan no Kamai, right? They're right, and they're just kind of moving their swords around.
Yeah, episode 4, A New Hope.
And so they took a lot from kendo
Just one sec.
in the early ones.
We're recording, right, Teresa?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It says recording.
It doesn't say recording. The stop recording is lit, so
Okay.
that if I hit that, it'll stop recording.
Okay, it's the same as it start streaming, right?
It's up on the top right.
Here, I'll just go check.
Yeah.
So basically, me seeing that online kind of put kendo, because otherwise I had never known about kendo other than maybe seeing something randomly on TV. And once I saw that, at the time, I had been dealing with some back issues that I had just started kind of getting a little bit better, and I wanted to get back into martial arts.
Right.
But I knew because of the issues I was having with my back, which affected my ribs and things like that, I couldn't be getting thrown to the floor like Hapkido.
Yeah.
I couldn't be getting kicked or punched in the ribs like with Taekwondo or boxing or something like that.
But you had already done those before, and you had never.
And I had already, I did those before. My back issues, I had an accident, when I was like 18, when I was like early 18 or 17, 18.
Okay, accident. What happened?
It's a long story.
All right, well,
so,
we have to get into it. You got into an accident,
so
then you had to stop doing Taekwondo.
I stopped doing like anything physical for a while.
Okay.
I found a good doctor who helped me out, got me kind of back in at least shape to be able to do some physical stuff.
Okay.
And I knew that I couldn't do any of these martial arts that have like significant, blunt force trauma, I guess you could say, to your body, whether that's falling on the floor, getting hit, punched or kicked in the ribs or the back or near the back. So I was reading about these guys training in Kendo, and I started looking into Kendo, and I found the Kendo World forums.
Yeah.
And right on the Kendo World forums, they had these, and this is back in the day when the internet was still sort of new-ish, not really new, but new-ish, and you didn't have long-form video content very easily.
But what made you type in Kendo on the internet?
Like I said, I was when I saw that people were saying that Tom Cruise, Ewan McGregor, and all these other guys were training in Kendo.
Okay, I see.
They had trained Kendo to prepare themselves for the roles.
Okay.
So I typed it in, got to Kendo World Forum. They had these 2 15-second little videos on the homepage.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing one of them where one of the players, and this is like the All Japan Kendo Championship.
Okay.
And one of the players did men and the other one did Kaishido. And I remember seeing it and thinking like, whoa, this is like the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That clip? I
Yeah.
trained with the guy who does the do in that clip.
What's his name?
His name is Kuranari Sensei. Yeah.
And it was just like,
Kuranari,
seeing that as the first thing I saw in Kendo, the funny thing was that Kaishido became my Takui Waza.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was the very first thing I saw and it made sense to me.
Okay.
I was like, that seems like what real sword fighting would... In my mind at the time, that seems what real sword fighting would be.
And you know what? It's interesting because you would think that other techniques in Kendo would make a little bit more sense in terms of sword fighting.
Yeah.
Because most, in men, when you go men, debana men, you're both getting hit men. Just one guy is hitting first. But you're both dead.
You're both dead.
You know,
and
so-
we could talk about it later, but in HEMA,
Yeah.
historical European martial arts, the way they train is you never do a double hit. Like, that's the worst thing you want to do. You want to be able to hit and get out of the way and protect yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the point doesn't even count.
Yeah, which
You know?
is actually, I mean, when you look at Nito, well, there's some elements of that in Chudan also, but when you look at Nito, so two sword fighting, that becomes a lot more important.
Oh yeah. Well, you have the short sword. Shoto or Daito?
It's a Shoto,
The
yeah.
Shoto, right?
Shoto and Daito and right and left, or it
Yeah.
could be inversed.
You have a way of protecting yourself. But yeah, and back to that, I saw that video. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. How'd I get into this? I Googled Kendo near me, and the closest dojo was not a Ken dojo. It was a Kumdojang.
Okay,
Kumdo
dojo, yeah, okay.
Kumdo dojo.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm this like 18-year-old kid. I just drive up there. I meet with he was my sabonin, my sensei for many years.
Yeah.
Master Joe.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to him. He's like, "Why do you want to do Kendo?" And I said, "I think it's interesting. I want to do it. I've always done martial arts." And he was kind of almost trying to talk me out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he was telling me it's really difficult. Are you sure you can handle it, right? And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing sports my whole life and doing martial arts my whole life.
That's what I do now. I try to talk people out of it. I don't want new people. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, man, it is such a commitment, and but you know, it was a good sales pitch, right?
Yeah, and you know, when I got started, I picked it up real quick. Because it's a Kumdojang, it's open 5-6 days a week.
Okay.
And so you can train a lot. And there's a specific time for beginner practice,
right,
and then specific time for advanced.
Right.
And so I was able to get a lot of really good instruction.
Yeah.
Early on.
Yeah.
From a sensei who really knows how to teach beginners, because he has a really good methodology for teaching beginners. Mm-hmm. And, you know, within 3 months I was in Bogu. Within 6 months I was already in tournaments, you know, but maybe less than 6 months. I was already fighting in tournaments.
Okay.
And already having success. So I really caught on to Kendo. Kendo kind of made sense to me. It felt tangible to me. Everything made sense. So I had a lot of success early on. And within 3 years, I was already kind of a prospect for Team USA.
3 years, right? That's the amount of time.
Within 3 years, yeah.
So what were your big tournament wins up until that point? How did you get their attention? Because, I mean, you have to have some really solid skill if you're getting that much attention that quickly.
So in order to try out for Team USA at that time, it's very different now. It's very different.
Yeah.
Back then, all you had to do was register for all USKF, register for your local federation, and then apply through your local federation, I guess, and to go to the US tryouts. And the way that they did it was there was a tryout for the East Coast on its own, and there was a tryout for the West Coast on its own, right?
Yeah.
And then they would take the best of them and bring them together, and they would have them all go against each other.
Yeah.
And then the people who won there would go to the final round, which is just like gashukus, like these training camps over like a few months at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won some tournaments in my divisions and stuff like that, but that's not how how they got to see me. I went to the Eastern one. I went through winning, because you could go through winning or coach's pick, but I went through actually winning my matches.
Yeah.
And then when we went to the second round, which is when they brought everybody together, I also won through actually winning my matches,
right?
Not through coach's pick.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I kind of forced my way in.
Oh yeah, so they probably wouldn't even talk to you if you didn't win your way in.
Probably not. Yeah. You know, so the fact that I made it through my own merit.
Yeah.
You know,
that's good. That's exactly the same situation that I was in.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even on the prospect list, and I had to win like 3 qualifiers.
Yeah.
Like three qualifiers, not on the same day. I think in you guys' case, you had a first group, and then if you made it past that group, then you go to the next group, and then you'd have a final group, right?
Within the same day, right?
Within the same day.
Yeah, within the same day. It's basically 3 brackets.
Yeah. I think
the first bracket is you could totally screw up in the first bracket, and they'll give you one more chance. Mm-hmm. You know, And when I tried out for the Eastern Conference one, which was actually a weaker pool of people,
Yeah.
I had to fight all 3 brackets, and I finally made it in the 3rd bracket.
Yeah.
I had a tough day. I did fight some tough players, you know.
Yeah,
and
man,
then
it's-
in the one in California, when I went to California to do the consolidated one,
Yeah.
I basically had a really weak because I've always been a slow starter,
Yeah.
right? So I had a really weak first bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 2nd bracket, I like a switch
Yeah.
flipped,
Oh yeah.
and I just murdered everybody.
Okay.
So I became-
Oh, I don't think we can say murder on.
Okay. Yeah, we'll bleep that out. I just beat
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying I beat like 2-0, 2-0, but I just beat everybody.
Yeah.
In my bracket. And when you were in the 2nd bracket, if you beat everybody, you don't even need to go to the 3rd bracket. How long have we been offline for?
It just
Okay.
came up, that message.
You know what it is? It's the internet. All right.
Do you want me to just raise my hand if that happens again?
Yeah. That's fine. You can just stop. It's like, yeah.
So yeah, it was just So yeah, I did. You know, I had that. I just kind of got in the zone, fought real well, was real scrappy, won
Okay.
that 2nd round, and then the 3rd round was gashukus,
Yeah.
where I had to fly out to California on 4 separate occasions, and they were 2-day, 4 hours each.
Yeah.
Gashukus.
Oh yeah,
And-
because this is after they pick the final.
This
group
is the
of-
final group.
Group of prospects. Right?
Final group of
So how
prospects.
many prospects were there?
all
Besides-
in, I think it was like
besides-
16 or 18 total people.
No, I know, but like that's including the guys who are pretty much guaranteed a spot in the team, right?
Yes.
How many people were you competing against for those last 2 spots?
It was really, you were really, if I can remember correctly, because this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
You were kind of competing for maybe 1 spot on the actual team and 3 spots for what they called like the youth prospects.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true. Because they did have some younger guys. Actually, like the last 2 guys that made it on the team, they were pretty young, huh? I think.
No, they didn't. I don't know if they actually made the team or if they were the youth prospects or not, because I don't really remember.
Okay.
But maybe there was like 4 spots available out of
Okay.
like 5, 6, out of like maybe
So
9 spots.
I think they had 10 guys there, and realistically speaking, you had a chance to be one of those 4.
Maybe,
right?
yeah.
Something like that. So what happened?
So, again, these were really arduous gashukus.
I know, man, you
the
don't have-
most
you-
difficult, dude.
Listen,
4 hours nonstop.
You know who you're
only-
talking. You don't have to
No,
tell
I know,
me.
but
Yeah.
people who are watching, they
Yeah.
have no idea.
Yeah.
I promise you, if you haven't done it, you have no idea. You got
Yeah.
no clue. Like
Yeah.
you feel like you're gonna die. That's
Yeah.
how tough it is,
Yeah.
right? And at the end, I remember at the end of the first gashuku day,
Yeah.
probably half of the people, including some of the people who had been on Team USA,
Yeah.
were on the sidelines because of cramps. They couldn't continue.
Oh yeah.
I actually made it to the last 10 minutes. It was like the last 10 minutes I got a cramp in my bicep and I couldn't keep going.
Right.
So what happened
Was it
was,
just-
I told you I have had back
That's
issues
right,
and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And also I hadn't been used to that kind of arduous kind of training.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the first day. I don't think it was on even the first Gosh, I think it was the second time I went out there. I ended up having some sort of like panic attack or something from overtraining. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing real fast. I had to take my men off. The doctor checked me. He's like, "Man, your pulse is like your heart rate's at like 190 right now. Your blood pressure's all funked up."
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
it was but I was fine. I kind of like did some stretches, cracked my back a little bit, and I went back to it. I was fine, right?
Yeah.
And then on the third gashuku, I was having a match with one of the Team USA players.
Yeah.
And he went men, and I hit Kaishido, and I scored the point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Kiang really strong. And I think like the excitement kind of got to me, I had another one of those attacks. So over the 4
during the Shia,
you
had a panic
I literally,
attack.
and I stopped. I couldn't breathe.
What?
So I had to, like, I couldn't breathe. Yeah, exactly. So I had to take my men off. I ended up forfeiting the match 2-1. Even though I scored the first point, they didn't let me go back to the match. So I ended up forfeiting the match. But I ended up doing really well.
Was that against one of the younger guys?
It was against one of their sort of seasoned guys.
Okay, I see.
Okay?
Yeah.
And again, I took care of it. I came back in, and I think I practiced the rest. And I
finished
and
practice.
you know, I won some matches. I beat some of the prospects, those younger prospects. I beat them. Some of the seasons guys, I tied them.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so you had a decent score.
Yeah. No, I did very well when I was there. There was only one day out of all the days that I did really poorly, and it was because I wasn't able to practice for the 3 weeks in between one gashuku and another because I lost my license and I couldn't drive to practice.
What?
Yes, I was kind of out of shape and like not sure.
What happened?
Dude, I was just like a broke young kid, bro. I was speeding and I lost my license.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
No shit.
But anyway, at the end, when it was all said and done and I didn't get picked, you know, I called them and I said, well, you know, can you let me know why I wasn't picked? And they said because of the two like kind of situations you had for help.
Oh, the panic attack.
Yeah, like you know, and you know what? That's a valid reason.
It might be a convenient reason for them to
sure.
like save face and not pick you, right?
Yeah, because I can tell you without being cocky and without being like overconfident that I was better than the other 3 prospects and I had beaten the other 3 prospects pretty handily in different situations. So it is what it is. It was a great experience. By the time I was done with those gashukus and the training that I was doing for AUSKF, I placed pretty decently in the All United States.
The top 16, I think. Right?
They got top 16 in the All United States
in the nationals.
tournament.
Yeah.
And my kendo really like evolved and kind of like catapulted from all that training, high level training with like really good players. So that was all in a 3-year period of time from when I started kendo. So
that's a pretty amazing 3 years. Well, it's some amazing accomplishments for just 3 years.
I was obsessed with kendo, man. I was training all the time. I was thinking about it all the time. I loved it. I wanted to do well. I had a lot of urgency to do well. I was competitive, you know. So like my mind's competitively minded, you know. So
yeah, like the thing is, kendo is so mentally extractive that that obsession can really, like you said, you were broke. Right, you're spending all your money on kendo.
Spending whatever money I had was going to kendo.
No, but you know, okay, I understand. People have their passions and hobbies and stuff like that, but I mean, for a couple of years, okay, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Right? But dragging that out for like decades, man, it's gonna have some serious repercussions on I think your lifestyle or your health or things like that. You know
and that's
what I mean?
why I took like a 10-year break.
That's right. Yeah. You know? Okay. Because all right, this is the other part we can talk about is you're doing all this as a Muslim, and we know there are ritual aspects in kendo that kind of force you to do things that could be interpreted as haram in Islam, right?
For sure.
So how did you survive like those 3 years having that super high level of experience, even national team?
Yeah.
But because I'm pretty sure, like, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're at the national team and you're not bowing with everyone together, then
I'll explain that a little bit.
Okay, yeah, because that I'm interested to hear about.
I as far as I can remember, I have never ever did a seated bow to showman.
Yeah.
Or kamisa or kamidan or
not
anything
even
like
just
that,
showman.
Right?
Not even just showman.
But I did do the seated bow to other people.
You did?
Yeah, to other people.
Because normally you don't do that.
I don't do that. I probably did that for the first three years.
Oh, you
maybe,
did?
Maybe for the first year, 2 or 3. No, maybe for the first year or 2.
Okay.
But then I stopped.
But then, so when you were on Team USA, you didn't do it.
I don't remember. I really don't remember the exact moment I stopped doing the seated bow to other people.
Right.
But I never did the seated bow to the showman.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
I
Well, the
don't
thing
think
is,
I don't think I ever bowed to showman ever in my whole life.
Yeah.
I may have bowed to the dojo because I just wasn't thinking about it
Right.
for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
But I stopped doing the seated bow to other people as well, somewhere around the 2-3 year mark. So I can't tell you. I can't tell you exactly.
Okay.
It might have been after the Team USA stuff that I stopped.
Okay, because you told me that you're a Muslim. You know, you started out at least with like on some level, maybe not as committed as you are now to your faith.
Yeah.
But on some level, you were trying to balance both that and Kendo.
Oh yeah, big time.
And so, is the bowing to the showman was that the biggest obstacle? Because the main argument is that showman, when there's no kamidana or like little miniature shrine that normally in Japan they would bow to, which has, you know, Shinto aesthetics to it and Shinto meaning, or it could be Buddhist either. But is that the main obstacle for you?
I never
in
really
terms of rituals.
Honestly, I never that's the number one thing that you just as a Muslim you can't you can't
compromise. You're basically bowing to another god.
Exactly.
In a form form meaning like the fact that you're seated, it's almost like you're doing the prayer.
And it's similar to the Islamic bow. So so I'll get into this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So bowing can be two kinds of bows in Islam.
Okay.
There's a bow of respect and there's a bow of worship.
Okay.
However,
Yeah.
if you're bowing to something which is inanimate,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't matter whether you intend respect or you intend worship. It's automatically worship because if you're respecting something that doesn't exist,
Right.
It's like a false deity, right?
I see. Okay. I got it.
So that's why in the beginning I would do the seated bow to other people because that would just be a bow of respect. However, later on as I was progressing in my religion and my faith and in my learning, I realized that seated bow too closely resembles the Islamic bow in order to even do it to another person. Right? But I'll do a 10-degree, a standing bow.
A nod, right?
To a person.
Yeah.
Because that's just a show of respect, and it doesn't actually resemble any of the Muslim bowing because there's two types of Muslim bowing in prayer.
Okay.
The first one is where you bow about 90 degrees from your waist.
Okay.
It's called ruku'.
Okay.
The second one is where you're sitting down and you put your hands in your face on the floor.
Yeah.
And this is called sujud.
Yeah. Okay.
And sujud is the ultimate kind of bow, you could say. Ruku'.
You only do that when you're in prayer.
Generally. There's other times you can technically do it, but it's mostly only in prayer.
Okay.
And the ruku' is also mostly pretty much only done in prayer. So as long as I'm not doing ruku' to a person, I'm not doing this to a person, if it's just 10 degrees, it's not even considered ruku'. It's not, according to some scholars.
I see.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so it's okay. But the seated bow, there's really no way to kind of get around that. That's way too close, and it's way too...
It's too close to ruku', right?
Too close to sujud.
Sujud, okay, which is...
where your face is on the ground.
I see, yeah.
So early on, I moved away from the bow that looks like sujud, the seated bow.
Okay.
Later on, I even stopped doing the standing bow. I put my hand on my heart.
Yes.
And by the way, there's
that caused some issues for you.
It did. So, but no major issues. The big issue was there was a time where I didn't want to do Sonkyo either.
Yeah.
And there was dojos that turned me away, Yeah. So, but
Sonkyo is part of certain Shinto rituals, like the tea ceremony. It could be why the Koreans don't do it.
Could be.
And it has to do with keeping your back straight. I'm not an expert on this, but there isn't anything similar like that in Islam.
There's nothing similar like that in Islam, and also,
Yeah.
the historical heritage, you could say,
Yeah.
of Songkyo is so ambiguous.
Yeah.
You can't pinpoint where it came from and how it developed and why.
Well, do you know why
Yes,
it's
there are some Shinto ceremonies where they do something like Songkyo.
Well, I'll tell you why it's
But-
ambiguous.
yeah.
It's because when all these arts were being reintroduced into society post-war, they removed most of the metaphysical aspects. So the ritual is part of submission to tradition, not without calling gods. Because pre-war, you'd have much more Shinto nationalistic backing of these arts.
Yeah.
Not so much after the war. However, they were still used to how could I say honor in some sense the warrior spirit. Like if you're talking about Kendo, without necessarily calling towards the Shinto gods, which is why when you have a dojo that doesn't have a little shrine, they'll just say shomen, but shomen is supposed to represent that anyway. So it's I think it's kind of the same thing for Songkyo also, because like I said, I think that the reason why you have to keep your back straight is because you have to do it facing the emperor or something like that.
Well, here's the thing about Songkyo, right?
Yeah.
So I looked into it like in detail, and I
Yeah.
pulled up things written by professors at Japanese universities,
Yeah.
Japanese professors, and
Yeah.
because you'll get a lot of like fluff and BS written by people where they're just kind of like filling the gaps, and
Yeah.
they'll just make up stuff.
Yeah.
But when you go to the most historical documents, I guess you could say, that we have regarding Songkyo, it can go as far back to really old Ryuha,
Yeah.
really old schools, and they would do some sort of squatting before their matches with people. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They would generally, even in Kendo, do you ever do Songkyo to shomen or to...
No.
no, right? It's always been, in general, something that you would do to other people.
Okay.
Okay?
But when you do in tea ceremony, you don't do it to another
Now,
person.
here's the thing about tea ceremony.
Yeah.
Probably the reason why they do Songkyo and tea ceremony, it has more to do, from what I know, is that they need to get low to the ground to wash their hands.
Right.
But there's some kind of taboo about your knees touching the
Yeah,
floor.
because it would be
Right?
purification.
So the movement is kind of just coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's not that it's actually some sort of intrinsically religious movement meant to worship something.
No, but
and
I think the
Yeah.
knee part is not dirtying yourself on the floor, and it has to do with purity or something.
Well,
I think that's
in sumo,
yeah.
it has to do with anytime any part other than the bottom of your feet touch the floor,
Yeah.
it's a loss.
Right.
You see, so in every different aspect of Japanese society, the Songkyo can actually have a different meaning and application.
I see, okay.
So when I sent all this information to an Islamic scholar for like a fatwa,
Yeah.
right, for a ruling on whether or
Yeah.
not I could do it,
Yeah.
he said it's okay because there's no like intrinsic religious meaning to it, or it's not
But
clear.
that's the
And
thing
it
about
also-
Shinto
yeah.
is that there's no book.
Yeah.
Right? There's no official book on Shinto. There's no Quran
That's correct.
for Shinto. There's no Bible for Shinto.
There's also no similarity with the Songkyo to any Islamic ritual. So, yeah.
True. Yeah. So I think the only question is if even if there's no similarity, if you do it, is it haram?
Yeah.
Because
yeah, and I'm sure you can find scholars that might say it is. Yeah.
If there is some veneration connotation to like in terms of that particular art, is anyone actually explaining this in clear detail? Whether there is, I haven't heard anything since.
Let me make an analogy.
Yeah.
We all see, and I did it early on in the podcast. I gave the salute, right? It's just like
Oh,
a
you
habit
did?
I
I
have.
didn't see-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where does it come from? The most common explanation is that people who used to wear full armor,
Yeah.
in order to show each other who they are,
Yeah.
they would lift their visor up.
Oh yeah,
their
that's the
helmet,
knight
right?
salute. Yeah, exactly.
And so
yeah.
that turned into the military salute.
Right. Okay.
there could be some similar analogous kind of explanation for Sankyo. We just don't know it.
Well, you don't know it because, again, it depends on if there is a religious connotation in the ritual.
Yeah, there could
However,
be.
because there's no book, because people don't really talk about this. Like when people get together and talk about Kendo, they're mostly talking about like, oh, wasn't that Ippon so cool? Why is this not a point?
Yeah.
They're not talking about like why are we doing certain acts in Kendo that are normally it's like it's no compromise. You have to do that.
Yeah.
Like you have to do Sankyo. Like you said, people turned you away.
Yeah, I got turned away from one or two dojos for not wanting to do Sankyo. That's when I spoke to the scholar and I showed him all the evidences and the history behind it and what it looks like, and he said that it's okay. But by that time, I had already joined the dojo that didn't really have any issues with me doing whatever I needed or wanted to do.
But if it's okay from a Muslim perspective and it's not okay from a Japanese perspective, what is it specifically that makes it not okay?
You mean from the Japanese perspective?
Yes.
Well, you know
what I mean? So there's got to be something. Yeah. I'm just thinking there's got to be something there, even though they're not saying it. You know what I'm saying?
I think, well,
because
sometimes people
in
are
case,
rigidly strict to their culture and tradition, regardless of it's religious or irreligious.
But that's the thing. It's because you're forced to submit to the culture. But like in certain aspects, it's like, okay, you know, maybe in Kendo they don't do the Sankyo, but like, why is it so important? Like,
yeah.
So I know there's a lot of stuff that, but you know, as something as you know, non-compromisable as Islam also.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, it's very surprising for me. It's like this is one thing where on the Islamic side you guys are more flexible, but then on the Japanese side it's like no compromise.
But here's the thing: you get Japanese people who don't care. Some Japanese people, you talk to them, oh yeah, you're not Japanese, it doesn't matter, or it could be,
hang on,
no, dude, we want
you just said it. You just said it. It's because you're not Japanese.
I've had that response by some,
and that could be part of it.
But there's also those who don't care because they're like, yeah, just do whatever you comfortable with.
Okay.
And then there's others who they want to maintain their tradition. Mm-hmm. They don't need a reason. I'm not saying they don't need a reason, but there doesn't have to be a reason for them to want to maintain their tradition.
But that's the thing.
And so if I come in and try to change it, it threatens the tradition.
Well, how come it's threatening for one and not threatening for the other? It's because one of them did not separate as much as the other from the metaphysical obligations you would normally have if this was pre-war. You understand?
Yeah.
It's the post-war Kendo that the guys was under moral and character development. You know,
Yeah.
You know, so depending on which school you're in is going to depend, or depending on how strongly you adhere to the metaphysical aspect of it, the religious aspect of it is going to define whether that is negotiable or not.
Yeah, whether they'll accommodate.
Thing is, people aren't talking about it. It's just like people won't even ask why.
Yeah.
So when the reflex is you can't even ask why, or there's no logical explanation, I think you know you need to be careful.
Well, there's also just you know this, and most people do, is that there's always a power dynamic in any social interaction.
Yeah.
Any social interaction, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, in the 2023 like World Combat Sports Games or World Combat Games, it was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And they had like Aikido and they had like other like Japanese martial arts there. And instead of and that institution or that group, they accommodated the Muslims at that place, and said, you don't have to bow. You could just put your hand over your heart, and you don't have to do. So they were able to modify it, but there's a power. There's a power dynamic there, right? Saudi Arabia is hosting the event, so they have power in that interaction. Me as just a random one guy.
Just to be clear though, instead of doing the seated bow before to the showman or whatever, they just put their hand on their heart.
No, they didn't do anything to showmen. Probably, I'm talking about the standing. I think the standing bow
It was the seated bow.
It was the
The
seated
photo
bow?
of them is they've got got their hand on their
Okay.
heart. And yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't even
So-
know if they were doing that to showmen or if they were doing that to other people or not.
Regardless,
Yeah.
it's because, like you said, it resembles the bow that you would normally do when you're worshiping.
So they didn't do any seated bowing there at all. I don't
No,
think.
they
at
didn't.
all,
They're
period.
all seated and they've got their hand on
Correct,
their heart.
correct,
So here's an example of Islam being non-compromisable. So it's context based.
Yep.
Right? And that context, yes, it's the World Sport Combat Games, but it's in a Islamic country.
Correct.
And like our house, our rules.
Yeah,
Basically.
that's what. Exactly.
Right? Basically, right?
So, the thing
it's
is,
the same
it's
thing.
never my house, right? When I'm going to a dojo, it's never my
When you
house.
well, that's you. I mean, you. It's not good to assume that, but I've been doing this 24 years. In a lot of cases, that's the case. If you are not of Japanese descent, then you're a tourist. You're a guest.
Yeah.
And if you're a guest, you have to shut up and do what everyone else does. If you don't, goodbye, see you later.
Yeah.
And
No,
that
I understand.
But see, not every place is like that though. That just depends on the level of conviction you have for the metaphysical aspect of the rituals. So that's what I'm saying about like the Sonkyo thing. For you to consult with your scholars about it being halal or not, you went through a big step to see if you could continue.
If I
doing
could,
that.
if I could,
Continue
if not
doing that.
compromise, but if I could do it, period. Yeah.
Yeah, big step. Because, dude, for years, Team Korea, they wouldn't do the Sonkyo like how you're supposed to do it. They would bend their back.
Okay.
You watch the World Championship, watch highlights of the World Championships.
In the 90s, or
Early
2000s or
early
something?
days, late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of them when they're in Sonkyo, their back isn't straight, and I think that is the big piece of the metaphysical aspect of Sonkyo,
Yeah.
which is that you're adhering to the Japanese god, which pre-war was the emperor, right? So because post-war it's different, it's about they say it's about moral and character development.
Yeah.
That's fine, but they're still doing the act of Sonkyo is still being enforced as if it was pre-war in some places.
Yeah, of course.
Not everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So that is why there's that ambiguity. It's because it's hidden very well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that. But I also think that in the Japanese culture, they did a pretty decent job of documenting a lot of things that were important to them. If this was something that was so exceptionally important,
Yeah.
there would have been very clear documentation on exactly when, why, how it was used. So I think that.
But the thing is, they won't even go like they'll show with imagery. Like symbolism is much more important in Japanese culture. For the first when there was the 2015 World Championships in Tokyo, the first time it had been there in 25 years or something. The promo poster was a kendoka doing Sonkyo. So if it's that important for their promo poster to be a guy doing Sonkyo, I think it's saying something.
Yeah, I don't
mean,
disagree.
it's just
I
my
think,
opinion,
I think
but-
Sonkyo has a special place in Kendo because it's one of the only one of the only martial arts other than sumo that does Sonkyo, right?
You also had instances where you were refused for doing the bow to showman, right? Because you said no one really had a problem with it.
I don't think so, honestly. I think people approached me and asked me about it. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody ever gave me a hard time.
Oh no?
No, not
Okay.
really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Like they know that they're bowing to, something.
Because the other interesting thing, and the show is Judo versus Kendo.
Yeah.
And the whole other aspect is talking about the judo part of it. And Ernst said some things at first that I thought there's no way you could say that. But it's actually true when you think about it. In terms of judo not being Budo anymore, being a sport
Yeah.
or Olympic judo, let's say.
Yeah.
Right? Here's another here's another aspect where there's a compromise, right? In Kendo, let's say, when you bow before a match, you have to bow, like there's a certain angle you have to bow, right? In Judo, all those Judo athletes, they're bowing way, like there's no way you can get away with a bow in Judo, Olympic Judo, a lot of cases versus Kendo.
What do you mean? How do they bow in Olympic Judo?
They'll bow much less formally.
Okay.
When they lose, they just kind of like nod their head.
It's almost nothing.
Yeah, it's almost nothing, right? So I think there's a reason for that too. It's because if you're adhering, the more serious you are in adhering to the rituals, the more you are catering to that metaphysical aspect of it.
Well, that's one of the reasons why back in the day on the Kendo World Forum, a lot of times people would ask, why is Kendo not in the Olympics? Why is Kendo not in the Olympics?
That was a huge question.
Because most, like the IKF or whatever, the International Kendo Federation or whatever it is now, they don't want Kendo to become just a sport. They want it to stay as a Budo, right?
Why? Why do you think that's so important?
Again, I know that your perspective is because they want to keep it like Shinto or religion.
No. That's not my perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm saying is that why is it so important for it to not to become a sport?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because you see a lot of the sports that go into the Olympics.
Yeah.
It loses a lot of the things that make it what it is. It becomes something new.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right?
But listen.
Yeah.
Like me and you, we know what a good ippon is.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Most kendoists know what a good ippon is, right?
Yeah.
When you put something into Olympics, like look at fencing, look at European fencing.
Yeah.
It's like there's just touch the guy and then scream and
but,
where
okay,
Kendo has
so
certain etiquettes, Kendo has certain they don't want Kendo to turn into just electronic scoring. You just touch the guy, point. They don't want to lose the etiquette. They don't.
Why
want to
is that important? Why is that important?
Because it's Japanese. Because it's Japanese.
It's more specific than that.
Yeah.
It's because in samurai values, they value silence. No matter the outcome, is that you have to keep quiet.
Yeah.
That's one of the values. It's hierarchy, loyalty, silence, and death to ego.
Yeah. See, you're able to get into the granular kind of like details of it.
But that's why it's not a sport. It's because it's a ritual about ego death. It's not anything quantifiable, like you're saying, just touching the guy.
Yeah.
Because we know in Kendo, you're not just supposed to touch the guy. You have to demonstrate purity of intent, so your strong ki, okay? Unity of action, so kikentai ichi, that's like all your body moving together in unison. Your presence, which is zanshin, which a lot of people, it's interesting because a lot of people outside of in more uncommon tournaments or more tournaments open to the general public, zanshin becomes a criteria for ippon. It's not a criteria for ippon in the police tournaments. In police tournaments, they judge it completely differently because everything is so fast, the posturing is already good, that they assume already that everyone's got good posture and all that. So they're looking at, did the shinai end up in the general direction of the target? Was there a good sound? And was there a proper fumukumi?
Yeah.
They narrow it down to 3 specific things. Most other kendo tournaments, it's so vague, and they use zanshin as a kind of a cop-out to not give a specific reason why it was not a point. And we talk about this in accountability for Shimpan too.
Yep.
Because when it goes beyond just not being accountable for making a right call when it comes to a point, when it goes beyond that and people get hurt, like get concussions and stuff, then there's repercussions to your health. And that's when it becomes a problem. But if it's a sport, you can have clear-cut criteria. Okay, this is a point. It's simple to explain.
Does the ball go into the basket or not, basically?
Does it or not?
Yeah.
But that's not how it is in Kendo, because it's all about the ego death part. Is that you're reenacting a ritual that, this is the other thing about sport too, is that you can never contest the judge's decision. You can't. In Olympic sport, you can go, hey, that wasn't a point, and you see Olympic athletes going off all the time on referees in the Olympics. That is something you could never do in Kendo.
Yeah.
Because
you get in big trouble.
Well, it's because the premise of Kendo is that you are submitting first to the ritual, and you have to accept to be judged by humans. Another problem is that if a point isn't a point, they'll say, oh, you didn't have kokoro, you didn't have soul in it. So now you're making a judgment based off the person's character. Like, what do you think, you're God? You know what I'm saying? I know you can understand that.
No, I know. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So that's why it can never become a sport, because the whole premise behind it is that you are submitting yourself to tradition before anything. And that involves you in some way, in some sense, having some death to your ego, because you're accepting the outcome no matter what happens. Even if it wasn't a point, even if you get screwed over by the shimpan, you have to accept the decision no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in sports. So when Ernst was saying, also he said, Judo does not belong to Japan anymore. That's another big thing. When he said that, I was like, holy smokes, that makes so much sense. Because, like you said, we talked about in Budo, you are resurrecting the values of the samurai, which one of them is silence. When you're talking about sport, you're talking about sport and emotion. And Ernst would say, he said it on our last podcast, we're going to talk about it with him next week, is that in sport, it's one of the only places where you can express your emotion as a man, or as a human.
So I brought this up, I don't know if I brought it up in one of our other podcasts, but like you talked about submission to tradition.
Yeah.
And I brought up another perspective, which is Kendo is based off of basically it's from the samurai tradition.
Yes.
And the samurai tradition is a military tradition. If we want to kind of like simplify it, right?
Yeah.
In military, there's always very strict codes of conduct and discipline.
Yes.
And very strict codes regarding obedience to your superior officers.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, a lot of times you'll talk about that in a religious sense, but you can look at it also as just a purely military sense in a way, because this is something which you find across all cultures at all times, regardless of religion or irreligion.
Right.
So the military culture in of itself is very monolithic in the way it's structured with regards to submission, if you want to use that word. Obedience is a better word. Obedience to your superior officer, and obedience at the end of the day, who are you obeying? You're obeying your commander-in-chief. In America, the commander-in-chief is the president. In Japan, the commander-in-chief would have been the emperor. But that's also religious, obviously.
Exactly. So that's the thing. It's that, like, when you conflate submission to your superior officer and someone who judges you based off like being a better person, that's when it becomes different.
Yeah.
And that's what Kendo does a lot. Is that, like, they won't. How can I say? The judgment will become like a favorable judgment in your favor will become a blessing, and an unfavorable one will be a complete rejection.
But
so it gets very deep into the emotions when it comes to, and that's why you got to be careful, because it doesn't always go well when you have those kinds of situations.
So I think right now the Kendo world in general is going to move very, very slowly with regards to accommodating people of different religions, because it's such a niche martial art. And you're not going to find many Muslims doing it. You're not going to find many very religious Christians doing it who maybe don't want to do bowing. They're very more quick to acquiesce to that.
Why do you think that is? Because part of submitting to the ritual is erasing part of your religious ideology also.
Here's the thing. Kendo is super niche no matter what.
Yeah.
Regardless of religion.
Yeah.
It's not something that people are automatically interested in and want to get into and do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just have to, it's kind of like, that's why people who do Kendo a lot of times just looked at it as like nerds or weirdos, right? It's just because it's not mainstream like martial art. Because we spoke about this again, how a lot of martial arts, judo, taekwondo, karate, boxing, all these ones, they're all combat martial arts in which you can see an ability to defend yourself in a real life situation.
Yeah.
And Westerners look at things in a practicality sense.
Yeah.
And the first thing that Westerners ask me is, why do you do Kendo, or what can you get from Kendo? Like, can you beat somebody in a fight if you fought? Or if you had a stick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Westerners, when they're looking at martial arts, one of the main things that they look for, especially men, is how can this help me in a real life situation, right? I want to do boxing or kickboxing or judo or jiu-jitsu or sambo or something like that because I want to be able to handle myself in a fight if I got into a fight. Right, I would want to be able to defend myself.
But that's exactly
Kendo's not like that.
Why? Yes, it's because they've reframed it as moral and character development post-war. Pre-war it had a different function.
No, but here's the thing: sword fighting is obsolete. Doesn't matter if it's pre-war or post-war. Sword fighting is 100% obsolete. We don't sword fight ever.
Yeah.
Right? So I would compare getting into Kendo as a Westerner, like a Westerner wanting to play. What's a sport that's what's a sport in the East, like maybe cricket? But no, some Westerners play cricket. But like an American trying to get into cricket.
Yeah.
Culturally, it doesn't make any sense. He's going to play baseball.
Yeah, but
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. But
that's why Kendo is also exceptionally niche.
It's interesting we talk about baseball.
And same thing in the Middle East. Because in the Middle East they're gonna play soccer because that's what's normal.
So so we talked about religious connotation in martial arts and in sports. Okay, here's a great pivot. Okay, we had a comment on I think it was last stream. It was Quantum Kenshi said, U.S. baseball has this issue with calling strikes and balls. Mm-hmm. We have the pitch cam. Instant replay that shows where the strike zone is, yet we still let umpires make bad calls.
It's terrible. It doesn't make any sense.
So, can we say it's similar to Kendo in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, 100%. There's some similarity, right? And the umpire being there is tradition.
There you go.
It's literally not necessary anymore.
Right.
But in baseball.
Yeah.
In baseball, it's not necessary. In Kendo, the qualifiers of a point are so subjective that you wouldn't be able to have AI, for example, really maybe tell you what a point would be.
But that's exactly it. It's subjective. It's because the judges are not judging the players based off of just their skill. They're judging them based off their character.
But I think it's more than that. I think in Kendo, style is very important. How good you look.
Why is style important? Because, once again...
Because it's not a combat sport. Because Kendo is not a combat sport.
It's not a sport, period. Because if it was just a sport, like I said, we wouldn't have all of these, how could I say, unquantifiable criteria that only a certain amount of people are deemed worthy enough to judge.
But you could make the same argument for anything, even in the Olympics, that is judged subjectively, like dance or even some gymnastics.
Those are
and things
pure
like that.
art forms, man.
Yeah, and Kendo is an art form.
So yeah, it's not a sport.
Yeah, it's an art. So
you're saying it should be in the Olympics, but as an art form.
No, I'm not saying that or otherwise.
Well, that's kind of
what I'm saying is that in baseball. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's well defined that if the ball goes into a specific place,
strike zone,
it is what it is, right?
But because of tradition, we
keep the umpire. Yeah. We keep the umpire.
Yeah.
The thing about Kendo is we know, and all Kendoists will agree, hitting is not a point.
Yeah.
Right? Yelling is not a point.
Yeah.
Having your body moving is not a point. It all needs to be done at the same time with breaking the composure of the opponent.
Yeah.
It has to feel right. right?
But again, feeling, nothing quantifiable. You
I
can't
know.
quantify feeling.
But that does not necessitate that it's somehow religious in that sense.
Yes, but I mean, depends on how far you go with it.
Yeah.
Once again, you know, and it's like, forgetting the word religious, we're just talking about metaphysical aspects.
No, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a spectrum. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. It's like, it depends on, and especially in Kendo, you're saying you said you can't score with ki, right? But it helps you score.
Yeah.
Right?
I was saying any one of those three things excluding the other doesn't score a point. It has to be all at
Right.
the same time. It has to be done in a way that the judge appreciates, based off of his.
Right. So it's, again,
Yeah.
once again, it's a subjective
Correct.
evaluation from someone. So yeah, we're agreeing and disagreeing at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I think for
I know.
a lot of this, but a lot of interesting discussion. Let's see if there's anyone in the chat. Concussions.
You've had a couple, right?
I've had a couple.
Well, tell me about those because I haven't had any.
I just think it's ridiculous that this day and age we see instances of people getting really hurt. Mm-hmm. Some cases they're being pulled off a stretcher, and it might be different now because people are waking up finally.
Yeah.
But for a long time there was no calls whatsoever. People getting knocked on their head, getting concussions, getting pulled out in a stretcher in some cases, and the rest just stand there like, I didn't see anything. I find that ridiculous.
Well, it happened in one of the most recent one of the biggest European tournaments recently. A guy got pushed over. It looked like he got knocked out, brought out on a stretcher. No,
actually, you know what happened in that
happened?
case? I think I'm not sure in this case, but like, I don't think he even got a call or anything. And one of the head referees or something would just said like, I'll talk to him after the match. You're the one who said so yourself. Like, why are we rewarding this negative behavior?
Yeah.
Because if it happens in a match, a guy gets knocked over, and the guy who did it gets nothing. You're starting with a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Again.
The dirty player has the advantage, basically.
Yeah.
What would you like to see done about it?
Well, you said that it should be a double disqualification if the person can't continue.
Well, it should be disqualification for the person. So let's say the person gets injured.
Yeah.
He can't finish that match.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
That the person who committed the violation.
Yeah.
Should be disqualified for the rest of the tournament.
Yes.
If it's an individual based tournament. Okay?
Right. So that means two people get taken out because of that.
Not necessarily. The person who was injured during that match,
Yeah.
if he's able to make it to his next match,
Yeah.
he should be allowed to continue.
Yeah, but then you'll have stuff like soccer where like they embellish the injuries and things like that. Like, oh, I can't continue.
Okay, that's a fair point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a fair point. So yeah,
it's gotta be double
elimination.
elimination, and it's gonna suck for tournaments. But it's like I don't see it because the biggest problem I have is the lack of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a concussion, man, like it really messes you up. And
Yeah, it can totally change the.
It's just a lack of accountability. I
rest of
always
your life.
remember like these people like they act like such dummies after. In my case, when I got one, it was like a couple of years ago. Like the head referee was sixth dan. And this was the semifinal, I think, for our tournament. Normally when you get to semifinal, okay, whatever, you have logistics and stuff in terms of rotation of the shimpan and stuff. When you have semifinal and above, it's like a no-brainer, especially like these tournaments they've been running for like decades in some cases, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have experience. So it's like semifinal, the head judge is sixth dan, the two assistant judges are both seventh dan. And the excuse is saying like, oh yeah, they were just going through the caterpillar, like they were just going through the rotation like it's nothing. It's like you've been doing this for 40 years and you can't even organize the referees properly. Like any other tournament, you would. So it's just like these things happen and the lack of accountability, and it's not sustainable in the long term because people are going to get hurt. And we haven't even talked about if there's actual implications of CTE in Kendo. They're starting now with research, but man, you know, that's a whole other aspect.
I'll tell you,
And not just from CTE, not from illegal hits like I received in the past. CTE just from getting, you know, hit on the head just from practice.
I see that. I just,
You know what I'm saying?
I would say probably just from anecdotal evidence, that's probably not happening, considering we see people in their 80s and their 90s doing Kendo. They've done it for 50 years and they're totally fine, right? Definitely getting pushed over, hitting your head. We see it in boxing. We see it in MMA. We see it in a lot of combat sports where you have terrible refs.
Yeah.
Not just terrible, because remember, in those sports you have refs and you have judges.
Yeah.
But the refs are the ones who are in charge, not the judges. The refs are the ones in charge of protecting the health of the fighters.
Right.
And it's happened many times where in boxing, in MMA, where the ref clearly was not doing their job and looking out for the health of the fighter.
Yeah.
And there have been refs who have been totally banned from reffing.
Yeah.
But it took a really long time, and them putting so many people into terrible situations before anything was done.
Yeah.
And this is talking about a combat sport, which is, you know, very dangerous, right? You're taking full blows to the head,
Absolutely,
multiple.
man. There's nothing worse than boxing.
In Kendo,
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why this is not being tackled properly
Yeah.
is because it's not an epidemic. It's not something that's happening every tournament.
CTE is an epidemic.
CTE
All
might
right?
be, but I mean, like in tournaments, people getting thrown over, hitting their head, being carried on stretchers is not something that is exceptionally usual.
Here's the thing,
Yeah.
bro. In CTE, it doesn't matter if you get a concussion or not. If you have sub-concussive blows to the head, you're developing CTE.
I understand.
And it might
Yeah.
not be in as big chunks as football or boxing or wherever, because you're getting knocked out in football and boxing.
Yeah.
You're not getting knocked out in Kendo, but in some cases you do when you get, you know, like knocked over, like we've seen in those videos of the European Championships.
Yeah.
But like those little subconcussive blows to the head, I think it's worth investigating.
Here's one thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, you ever heard of punch drunk, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've never met a Kendoist, no matter how old they were, 60, 70, 80 years old, who was
Yeah.
punch drunk.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're taking...
Might not
because,
be. That's the thing. Because the nature of the blows are different.
Yeah,
It's not.
very minor. We have
But
padding.
there might be symptoms in other aspects.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I
Like
think-
other parts of like behavior and things like that.
The main focus should be on the gross negligence, or not just even negligence, but the focus, I think, should be on the people who are doing dangerous maneuvers in
That
Shiai,
should be number one.
Of course.
But they don't even do that yet.
And then a strong codification of how it should be dealt with in Shiai. That's it.
We watched together a few streams ago, like guys getting leveled on their ass in the All Japan Championships.
Yep, and no calls.
Nothing.
Nothing, not even
These
Hansoku,
guys are
right?
supposed to be like the top cream of the crop professionals. Like, and Kendo is supposed to be a respectful sport and all that. It's
You're
like,
more likely to get called for Hansoku
Yeah.
for trying to push somebody out of bounds
yeah.
than you would for pushing them and hurting them.
No,
Is
no
that true
way-
or no?
No way you could have said that better.
Yes.
That's absolutely true, and I think it's really stupid, to be honest.
So there's
because-
definitely
We're
some
talking about
priorities
people's-
that need to be
people's
looked at.
health.
Yeah.
We're talking about people's health here, man. Like, what's wrong with just enforcing like the rules the way they're supposed to be enforced, man?
Yeah.
You know?
And you'd also be looked at worse by trying to win a match by pushing somebody out than by hurting them. By hurting them, it'd be like, oh, bad luck, he couldn't continue. Versus if you tried to push them out, oh, dishonorable.
But that's the thing. So you're rewarded.
Yeah,
For not
bad
following the
behavior.
rules.
And I had that happen to me one time, more than a few times in Shiai. because I did Jodan in Shiai for a while.
Okay.
And I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'1".
Yeah.
My Jodan was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I won more than a few tournaments in Jodan.
Right.
And so, man, my opponents became so much more physical against me when I was playing Jodan than when I was playing Chudan.
Yeah.
And they were like really hitting me and hard and trying to knock me over and just getting belligerent.
Yeah.
And the refs weren't doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it into my own hands, In Subazeria, I would,
Gave
check them.
Gave him a jab, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. And that's not what you want. And I wouldn't do that anymore. But that's not what you want in Kendos. You don't want like a culture of like retaliation in the Shiaijo. Because that
people
you know what I mean?
they'll retaliate in a different form.
Yeah.
I mean, but because if you're not dealing with it when it happens, then people will retaliate somehow.
And the last thing I'll say is I think they could come up very easily with, like for example, in hockey.
Yeah.
And anybody who watches hockey or is a fan of hockey, forgive me, I'm not a hockey fan. But I do know, I don't know much about it. But I do know that there were rules with regards to how high you could lift your stick.
Yeah, high stick.
Right?
Yeah.
And there were rules for how high you could lift your legs.
Yeah.
Right? In Kendo, you could very easily make rules on how high you could lift your arms when you're doing, tai-otai or something like that.
Here's the thing, though. There are rules against that in Japan, and I think they're enforced much more severely than they are outside of Japan. I think, once again, that has to do with the lag in, in just people's training here.
Yeah.
Like you need to do special workshops to let people know that you can't do that stuff. And to me, it's common sense.
And as everything, it all starts in the dojo, right? If you're not like cultivating a good culture in the dojo where this is unacceptable, then it's gonna go out into the shiaijo, and if it's done in the shiaijo, right, and the sensei of that student isn't reprimanding him for doing that, or worse off, it's the sensei himself doing it.
Yeah.
Right. If it's like if it's a younger sensei who's still doing like shiai.
Yeah.
But definitely something needs to be done, and I don't think it's a difficult fix.
It's not a difficult fix. It's just a question of does the current establishment want to do it? It's whether people want it or not. Because you could, if there is actual CTE in just doing Kendo and we're getting stupider every year we do this, then we're not going to want to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't want to get any dumber than I already am.
Well, yeah, I don't think anyone really does. But all right, let's talk about some other stuff. So you're married. You have 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how are you able to juggle busy family life and your training in general?
So earlier on I mentioned that I took like a 10-year break from Kendo.
Yeah.
A lot of that did some of it had to do with me feeling like disillusioned or alienated at the time.
Yeah.
But a lot of it had to do with the fact that I decided I wanted to start a family. I wanted to be more successful in my professional life. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to start a family. So I ended up getting engaged to my wife, and I told her, right now, if I keep doing Kendo, it's gonna get in the way.
Yeah.
And then there was also things where I had some, I wasn't treated very well and fairly. And mind you, I was a young upstart. I wasn't, the nicest guy in some cases.
Cocky jersey.
I was young and cocky, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't treated fairly, and I kind of got kicked off of my federation team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I was real because of not being willing to travel long distances for like weekly trainings, because it cost me too much time and money at the time.
Yeah, for sure. So
you're not being paid for it.
You're the ultimate talent.
It was like a 4-hour drive one way, 4-hour drive another way for a Sunday practice. I'm like, I got work the next day.
That's a bit far, man.
Yeah,
just for one practice. If you're going for a weekend, okay, maybe.
Yeah. So, but once I stopped Kendo at that time, I was able to focus on school. focused on my job, focused on family, got married, got a good job overseas, and having kids. Now I got 3 daughters. I'm a very successful salesman, if you want to just keep it, just really simple.
Yeah.
And I'm doing pretty well. And my wife is, has her master's degree in social work and all these things. So now the reality is, with how busy I am and how busy my wife is, if I can train once a week, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got once a week to train. I'll take trips, here to come visit you, so I can get a few extra training sessions in, with high level.
Always welcome, man.
High level players. But for me, it's because of the age of my children, and all of the time that they need from me and my wife as well, and the help that she needs from me to raise them.
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of time for Kendo. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So I have to really work with her and compromise with her on scheduling and timing to be able to either go to practice or go do tournaments or come out here, things like that. So it's very difficult, and it was very difficult when I was younger to balance my life, and that's why I was just totally focused on Kendo and making enough money to do Kendo. And that was pretty much it.
You see how having the wife took away that obsession.
Yeah.
And he was focused into other things. You're
100%.
focused on building your future family and everything. 'Cause man, dude, I would not be able to do the amount of Kendo that I've been doing if I was in a steady relationship.
Yeah.
No way. That's why I put off this stuff for years, because I wanted to, really go to the deepest part of this pool of knowledge, so I can really understand it as much as possible. It's interesting how you're still even though you took that 10-year break.
I took about 10 years off where I didn't really train much at all.
Yeah, even though you took that 10-year break, you still found time to come back to it and enjoy it, right?
Yes, it's a really big passion of mine. I really enjoy Kendo. It's something I take a lot of pride in being able to do it excellently if I can. I have a competitive nature, so I like competing on a practice basis, just whenever I go to practice or in competition. I think a lot of men in general, we really enjoy the idea of perfecting a craft or perfecting something.
Mastery,
Mastery.
You're a salesman. You want to be the best.
I want to be the best
salesman
salesman I can. I want to master that craft.
It's about mastery, man. If you are not chasing mastery, then it's very hard for you to become a top performer in anything that you do.
Yeah, and I think one thing that that's not spoken about very much for men in general is that a lot of times when men will do something, sometimes it's because we love it, but sometimes we're also able to do the thing really well and get really good at it just for the sake of being good at it.
Yeah.
We might not even really love that thing or enjoy that thing.
Yeah.
But just the process and getting to the end result is enough for us to have a passion for it.
Right.
But that's not the case with me and Kendo.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I actually really like it.
Yeah.
For sales, it's not quite like that, right?
Well, yeah.
Money is a motivation.
Yeah.
There is a little ego involved for sure. Good sales companies have competitions, and you see other people's successes and their numbers, and you want to be on top.
Well, you're competing for the same numbers, right?
Yeah.
So.
But there is definitely a skill and a craft and a mastery involved in that, and in other things. And in Kendo, you can continue on that path till forever. Till the day you die almost, because as you get older and your body changes and your ability to do what you used to do changes, you have to change the way you do Kendo.
Absolutely.
And so now it's a new circle of mastery that you need to go through again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you also have to make a mindful change that, you know what, I can't do Kendo like I used to.
Yeah.
Right? And literally say, okay, it's time to do something different.
Would have that I wish more people would have that mindset.
That's probably
You
one of the most
literally
difficult
can't.
things to do.
It's
Unless your body breaks down,
well, it's
and then you're
difficult.
forced to do it.
It's in any case, man. When you're faced with like the pure raw truth of like it's like either you evolve or you disappear.
And what happens to a lot of kendoists is instead of them making that conscious decision to level up their kendo to be more mature and less physical, what happens? They just tear their Achilles tendon.
Their body breaks down,
right? Or they have some other injury or what have you, and then they're forced to change their kendo.
No, sometimes they quit.
Or quit,
They're done, you know?
But a lot of people who tear their Achilles, they still continue, but their kendo will be stunted significantly for it.
Absolutely.
Or from it.
Absolutely, man.
So that's something that I find to be really cool about kendo in general. I think a lot of people find that to be a reason to keep going. You know?
Yeah.
It's not like chess.
Well,
because you're not being physically inhibited in chess as you get older.
No, that's true.
Right?
Okay. Well, chess is a game, right?
Because you're not. How many judoka continue doing judo?
Oh, judo's
until
even shorter.
70, 80
even shorter.
years? No.
Even shorter. No. It's
how many
shorter.
70-year-old kendoka have kicked your butt in practice? Right?
Yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah.
You don't get that in a lot of the sports. You don't get that in boxing. You don't get that in judo. You don't get that. You might get that in like Brazilian jiu-jitsu maybe a little bit. You know.
Yeah, because they're on the ground play.
It's because it's a super high technique focused game.
Yeah.
It's not all about strength and stuff. It's about positioning technique and things like that, and knowing what your opponent's going to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right on, man. Cool. Well, Ahmed.
Is that time?
It's about that time. We gotta wrap it up.
Alrighty.
So thanks for everyone for stopping by, and we'll be looking forward to the next episode of Judo versus Kendo next week. So we'll see you then. Ahmed, good to see you, man.
You too.
Take care.
You need to get it, feet don't wanna love you the right way. He ain't gonna, it ain't where he's at, it's where he wanna be. Yeah.
I said 5 in the morning, I wake up to 5 for my yearning. Fear in my mind is a warning. Pray to the one you're relying. I've been wandering all day. I tried to be fine, but I can't be. The noise in my mind wouldn't leave me. I tried to get by, but I'm burning. I'm behind. My mind is